And we are live for the Mind Design Podcast, Episode 2. What's up, Ryan?
What's going on there, Ron? Ron Carter in the house.
Dude, in the house. Hopefully, for anybody watching this, hopefully the internet works. We were like having some challenges. Yeah, not problems, challenges.
Nope. Transformational vocabulary right there. We're already jumping on the mindset program.
Yeah, man.
What is it, California? California's weather. How is it today? Is it rough out there?
Well, let's see. It's sunny out right now, but it was cloudy for half the day. So in California, yes, that's rough. You know, it was cloudy. It wasn't like super warm. But it is what it is.
Yeah, people are going to be like, what are these two dudes going to talk about the weather all day?
I know, right?
Hey, last episode we got into some good stuff. We got into a little bit of Prince. We got in some mindset stuff.
Yeah.
Greek philosopher.
Yeah, some Plato. So I want to ask you a question, and we can just start from here, right? So,
oh boy, all right. Hey, keep it unpolitical because we can't go there.
Yeah, no, like I'm probably the most apolitical person that you've ever met, so we don't even have to worry about that. So here's the question, right? We mentioned this in the last episode. The Henry Ford quote, right?
Sure.
Whether you believe you can or whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. But what I want to know is, why do you personally think this? Like,
why
you,
do I
Ryan.
personally think it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. What I think you're 39, right?
Yeah.
So I got 20 years on you. So that's a great question from a young man.
Thanks.
Because
learning from the best.
Hey, so for me, I've proven the fact to myself, like whether I said I could do something or I couldn't. The minute you say you can't do it, for some reason out there, your mind automatically finds the ways to find out all the reasons why you can't do something, can't accomplish something, anything like that. And when you're just saying, no matter what, we're going to figure out how to do this, how to create this, whatever we're trying to create, that comes in. And the minute you change that mindset to, yes, we can, and we're going to, somehow the job gets done. The task,
Gotcha.
The job, the dream.
So,
yep.
Give me an example, not of the like the time where you believe that you can and then you make it happen. But I think it's like, what's an example like from your life where you thought you could, and then something popped up or something happened that got in the way, and then you weren't able to? Because I think that we all have examples of both, right? To be able to really understand something, you got to be able to see it from both sides. So I know that you have that. I have those too. Happy to share some like afterwards if you want, but I'm just curious, like, what's an example of that for you?
Well,
when you thought you couldn't do something and you didn't.
Yeah, that's a fair question. I mean, I'm not really prepared to answer that, but I can give you some disappointments that happened in my life, and after the disappointment, when I thought I was going to, and it ended up I wasn't, but then future, go down the road, and now there's the reason why you didn't get it, because something better happened. So
right.
I'll give you a couple examples. One example was, we were wiring a hotel, and a Hilton hotel, here in the city, and everybody got along great. It was really a lot of fun doing the hotel with this group of roofers, masons, plumbers, sprinkler guys, you name it, drywallers. It was just a great bunch of guys. Well, probably about 70 miles away from the city, they built another hotel. And I was the only contractor that didn't get it. Now I bid the job. Everyone else got it, but I didn't get it. I was like maybe $6,000 too high, which is crazy, right? 6 grand. I mean, for the quality that we give, little plug. But we didn't get the job, right? So at the time, I was very upset. I was like, "You got to be kidding me! Why didn't I get it?" And that was like I actually kind of visualized us going up there. It was by the lake region. Would have been a great time. Everyone liked each other. It was just a really fun job it would have been. And we didn't get it. We were the only ones out of the group that didn't get it. So, okay, we got over it. We went on to other projects and jobs. But what had happened on that job? The company that had hired everyone went belly up. Nobody got paid for that hotel. So, here's a big disappointment that turned out to be, thank God I didn't get that hotel. And that's what I
Right.
mean, because like that was a big disappointment, right? So, I guess in reality it was a blessing. It was a blessing of what happened. Another time that happened, I really wanted this home. It's just this perfect house, and I just love this thing. And I remember I went to see it. It was at night. I was with their realtor. Their the people were up in the road, because they have to leave their house when you're looking at it. They leave their property and they let you look, without the owner there. And I liked the house so much. Had this barn in the back. I just loved it, And I'm like, look, I really want this property. Um, let's just settle it with the people right now. I'm gonna go $40,000 more than they want. That's how bad I wanted this one, right? I just tell them, get them up there, get them down the driveway. Say I'll take it. I'll go $40,000 higher than their asking price. And the realtor said, no, no, I got some more showings. I can't just do that, make that decision. And anyway, what are you gonna do? So I left. Needless to say, I didn't get the house. Someone outbid me. And that was a very disappointing time for me, because I really loved the area. I loved the house. However, I stumbled across a better place like 6 months later that actually had rental properties on it and everything. So it worked out even better. But at the time, it was a disappointment,
Gotcha. Yeah.
which I'm sure. I mean, I don't know if that's totally answering your question. I think that's about as close as I come because I've trained my mind, right?
Right. You know, um, there's something that you did say that I think is super important. Like, and I didn't think of that. This is why I wanted to ask you this because it's like what you just did, right? Is I said, hey, what was the time that it didn't work out? And like your immediate um response is like, well, I mean, over time, like it all worked out. Like all that happened for all these good reasons. And but like, in the moment, then you started sharing the little stories, right? Of like how you were feeling in the moment and what was going on. But everybody that I've seen that's successful at uh building the life that they want to build, whatever that happens to be, whether it's building a business, whether it's getting in phenomenal shape, having an amazing relationship with their partner, spouse, with their kid, whatever it is, right? Picking up a new hobby or sport or anything, um, is that they have the belief that life is working for them, that there's no real problems, only challenges, and the challenges are there to forge them into who they need to become to have the life that they want, and so that even the challenges are a good thing. And and I just think that is really cool because in your answer, I can see that mindset just immediately. You're like, yeah, this just to let you know these things happen, but like they all happen for good reasons. And at the time, I was bummed, and it just made me think about like in my life when before my life started getting better, back when I was like still on drugs and on the street and like not really doing anything positive for myself or anybody else. um I would take stock of the challenges. I wouldn't call them challenges then. I call them freaking problems, and like and that's all I was aware of. And
Yeah.
then the thought process would end there. I would take stock of all the problems, and then the thought process would stop. I'd be like, this is wrong, and they're doing this wrong, and this is happening to me, and this is BS, and ugh. And then that's it, right? And something really cool that I saw, I think it was on TikTok. Somebody saying this on TikTok yesterday is that we all are like we all are abundant all the time, right? And there's so many people that are
Yeah.
like, and maybe even people watching this that are like trying to increase their abundance, right? We see that like, hey, like how do I become more abundant? And it's like there's no such thing as becoming more abundant, like because we all already are abundant,
Right.
period.
I love that, Ron. That's a great point. And
And
it's
and
amazing because here you were thinking you couldn't even think past the problem. And now look at what you've created and become. So I can't wait to hear how you got out of that.
yeah, well, it's simple, right? Because even when I saw all these problems, when I saw all this lack, I created lack with abundance. I created an abundance of lack. That was what I decided to use my abundance to create
Wow.
unconsciously, right?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
And so then and even people who aren't in the same position that I was in, um, if you're watching this, you may start to realize, or you may start to notice that if you're looking for content on the internet to help you become more in tune with your abundance, then most likely you may have created a situation where you are abundantly seeking abundance because and you think that you don't have it, but really abundance is being used to create the experience of seeking. But it's
Mm.
already in use. you know, it's in use right now. And the funny thing, like, so basically to switch out of that for me, um, there was some work, and the work was in like rewiring my thoughts. Um,
Mm.
and it's really easy to keep thinking the same thing over and over again, right? It's like we have like certain pathways in our mind where it's like we get some sort of trigger, right? Some sort of external stimuli from like the outside world that we perceive, and then we have like a canned response almost to it, whether that's in a feeling or an emotion or an outward expression, like we say. So it's like you stub your toe on the door and you go, ah, shit. right? It's like it's an automatic response. Well, the same thing is happening with our like neurology and our thoughts for experiences and um and so it really came from like rewiring that. And the funny thing is, it's like I don't really even know how to put it, like how that happened. I just know that it did. But the first thing was wanting it to happen, like actually desiring it, you know? Um,
So you had like a vision of what you wanted to become, maybe?
yeah, but I had no idea how. I had no idea how.
What triggered it, you think? You think like maybe you saw a Ferrari, or maybe you seen like this woman or this couple and you said, "Wow, what a great relationship. I'd like to have that." Or what do you think happened? Like,
Well, that's a good question. For me, the biggest thing, the biggest change that I wanted, it wasn't making a bunch of money online or learning how to sell products and services. To be clear, if any of you guys don't know my story, like it's all on my own YouTube channel. You can go check that out.
yeah,
But
sure. It's a good
here's the
story. I mean,
thing. It's it's when I first like yeah, that was a part of it, right? But what the reason why I even hey babe, the reason why I even wanted to go down that road is because I was like um really miserable, like in my mind and in my thoughts, and I was using drugs and alcohol to like to numb that misery, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
that helped perpetuate the problem. um and then I thought like, well, if I do this online marketing stuff and I do really well, I thought just money would solve that problem, right? Like I could earn a bunch of money doing this, and then it's like somehow that's going to equate to happiness from this deficiency over here. And as I'm doing that and doing that and doing that and doing that, like I get to the point where I realized that to continue growing in this business arena, it's not about what business tactics I do, but it's about how I grow myself. And one of my mentors is like, if you have a problem in business, like most of the time people want to look in their business. They want to look inside their business to see what the problem is. But most of the time, like 99% of the time, if you have a recurring problem in your business, it's coming from your personal life because you are the common
Hmm.
denominator between your business and your personal life. And so,
Makes a lot of
um,
sense. Really does.
yeah. And when I learned this is when I was still, drinking and using drugs, and I'm like, my business isn't growing like I wanted to. And it's like that problem of drinking and using drugs was like the big giant elephant like in the room, like right to my left. It's like I can't not see it, you know? And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
but we're just gonna ignore that and try to fix the problem over here. And I did that for a while, and the problem didn't fix itself. And then eventually, it's like, all right, you gotta fix this thing. And then like I actually started to desire to solve that instead of like desiring to like business and all this other stuff. And what happened was I started focusing on what I needed to do to solve that. And it was really counterintuitive because the first thing that I needed to do was stop all online business stuff. And I was like, wait, what? Like, stop all of this and then stop all the online business stuff? Like, and then just focus on this, but you want to focus on this to make that better. It like, how does that even make sense? And instead of trying to make sense of it, because it's what I felt was like I was guided to do for lack of better terms, and so
Mm.
I just did it. I was like, okay,
Like
so just
guided, like guided from a higher power.
yeah. It's like I just deleted Facebook and Instagram and Facebook Messenger, and because I had leads hitting me up in Facebook Messenger, people were messaging me, and I just deleted all those apps off my phone for like a year,
Wow, good for you, Ron.
and was
I
like, we're
it's
not.
funny.
And then I went and got a job that I knew I would hate. but it's like whatever,
Oh,
just get the
geez.
job and like and
And
go, do
so
your
you get the
meetings and
job
try to
that
get better.
you get. Let me picture this. You get the job you absolutely hate. How did you stay off drugs at that point? Because let me go see my little friend, right?
Yeah, um, really, like I joined a 12-step community, right? And I started focusing the majority of my attention instead of on how I feel about myself, because that's what I used to do. I would focus, I would put all my attention, like I was just so self-centered. Everything was about me. I'm doing all the business stuff for me. I'm trying to make me feel better. I'm drinking, I'm using drugs for me to make me feel better. And it's just this constant obsessive focus on how I'm feeling and doing things reactively because of it. Right. And so I learned that I need to do the opposite of that. And the opposite of that is focusing on other people and like,
Mm,
okay, how can I help them? And I was in a sober living house, right? So a lot of new guys were coming in. As soon as a new guy would move in, because the house fit like 40 people in there. It was a big house with a lot of rooms. And so I was like, I'd see a new guy come in and I'd be like, hey, what's up, man? Like my name's Ron. Like, how long have you been here? Are you from Santa Barbara? Like start just to make friends with him and then be like, hey, like we're gonna go to a meeting tonight. If you want to come with us, I'll come to your room, I'll come get you, we'll take you over there. Like little things to try to be of service to other people, like things that are really inconvenient, right? But it's like it's only inconvenient
yeah,
if I'm looking at it from my perspective. It's very
sure.
convenient if I'm looking at it from their perspective. And I noticed the more I did that, the better I felt. And then and I'm like, huh, so like the key to actually feeling better isn't focusing on myself, it's focusing on other people. And then
Absolutely.
even when I had that job that I quote unquote hated, um, the one thing I won't say the company that I worked for because I don't want to talk bad about any companies, but I was doing washer and dryer repair for for
Mm,
that year, right? That I wasn't even on social media, and I had a truck, I had a van, with a bunch of tools, a bunch of parts, and they loaded a route for me to go on throughout the day on the company phone that they gave me. And usually the route would have like 9 to 12 different jobs per day. And so it was a lot of work. But every customer's home that I went to, they would be complaining about the service that they're getting from other technicians, about other technicians not really knowing their stuff, about people ordering parts, having it being the wrong part, and then I'm like the fourth person to come out there, and their washer's been broken for 2 months. They're tired of going to the laundromat. It was just all this like stuff, and so like I looked at that job like, yeah, I don't like it. It's really demanding on my time. I never know what time I'm going to get off work every day because you got to finish the route, no matter what time it is. And but what what I did was like I took the knowledge that I already had of like troubleshooting and fixing aircraft from the military, and I was like, I could like whatever you want me to fix, I can fix it. Just show me where the schematics are. Like I know I can do it. And
yeah.
like washers
You're
and
keeping
dryers, like no
C7s.
problem.
You're keeping C7s in the air, man. I can fix your Maytag.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
And
remember
so,
that advertisement? What was it? There was an advertisement where the washers would never break down.
oh yeah, that's the I forgot it. People used to make people in my sober living house made fun of me because they're like, how come you're gone all day at work? We see those advertisements. We know that you
Yeah.
don't ever do anything. I think it was the Maytag man. I think it was Maytag.
I was gonna see. Is there any truth to that, Maytag, Ron?
I've worked on plenty of Maytags. I'll say that.
Hold no, hold. Wait a minute. Hold on. They're one of our sponsors. Uh, no, we haven't had any problems with Maytags. Take it back. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, long story short, I started looking at that job as a way to be of service to those other people. Where it's
That's that's
like
key in life.
I would tell them like, hey, you know, the other technician ordered the wrong part, but look, like this is the right one. Like this is what's wrong. I checked on my truck. I don't have it. So, but I called the local appliance part store. It's 30 minutes away from here. They have it. It's going to take extra time out of my day, but I'm just going to drive over there, go buy it, come back. Like we're going to get your washer fixed today. Like I don't care how long it takes. And they would be super thankful. And and it was like as long as I'm doing that, as long as I'm leaving people better than I found them, like I feel good. And
Nice.
and I continued to do that. And it's funny because once this mindset was like fully ingrained, business was way easier. Like it was way easier than it was before when I was always focused on myself. And
Yeah, now you don't have any resistance. You, you've got a you've got a mindset to help others.
yeah,
So that's a clear path. And the minute you get that clear path, hey, I'm here to help others, that's your mindset, you can't fail. Because there's always a door to open, right? There's always
right.
someone to help, And let's just talk about dopamine for a minute, right? So, doing an act of kindness raises your dopamine level higher than any drug ever sold on the market. And anyone can look that up right now. That's a fact. But
That
here's
makes
the thing.
hold on
Just
one second. That makes so
but
much
here's the
sense.
thing, Ron. Just witnessing someone doing an act of kindness raises that person's dopamine level. Just someone watching someone else do
No,
an act of kindness.
you know, you that I'm like I'm realizing as you say that some of you may start to like realize this or remember certain instances like this yourself too. But like I've seen from both ends when I was on the street over a decade ago, I was like standing there with a sign and people would give me money, right? At the intersection. And I would notice that there was always an accumulation effect. Like as soon as one person rolled their window down and would hand me $1, then I would see like 3 or 4 other windows start to go down, and of people that are like at the red light, and they're like, okay, and then other people are doing it, and at the same time, like I've been at like grocery stores before where somebody is like in need of something and I'm like walking up in the parking lot and I see somebody else doing something kind for somebody else, like somebody coming out of the grocery store and like helping like an old woman, right? They're like, hey, I'll get those for you. And then they pick them up and they walk. They don't need me. I'm walking in the store, but I see it happen and I smile and I feel
Yeah.
good. I'm just witnessing it. And so that's really cool that I can see that in my life, like you bringing that up.
Yeah, I hope I hope that this is coming through clear because you're broken up a bit, just to let you know. And I know you said a lot of good things to help people out there living on the street, even. And I just want to share a story about somebody. You ever hear of Augmendino?
No.
Augmendino, he was like, homeless, living on the street. And it's a true story. You can look him up. And Augmendino just wanted to stay warm, right? So at night, he would wander into libraries and he'd wander in the libraries just to stay warm. That was his main goal, just to stay warm. But he started reading books. He started reading all kinds of books. And he started teaching himself just to staying warm. That was his goal. Well, Augmendino became the CEO of like Success Magazine just from reading those books. And that's the power, right? That's just the power of always trying to get better. He just like you, he just stumbled in, and next thing you know, look at where he is, It's pretty incredible what the mind can achieve.
Uh-oh, broke up for a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think we might have to cut the live stream short for today instead of going like the full hour, just because. Are you frozen? No,
I'm not. Well,
but
you're freezing up quite a bit.
yeah, and that's no bueno. I want to make sure that this is good for people. Like, I'm not going to sit through a a podcast episode where
Yeah.
it sounds like somebody's like scratching on a turntable.
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
yeah, but I mean, I like the stuff that you shared so far. Hopefully, this was helpful for anybody watching. If you made it
Yeah,
through
hopefully
me being toppy,
hopefully they hopefully they seen some of it. I don't know, but we can do it again. You know, we're always here to come up with any kind of thing. We talk about anything, and people out there, if you want us to talk about a specific thing, let us know.
yeah,
I think the great thing about sharing, feelings, information is our age differences, right?
yeah, yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
you have. It's funny because I was thinking about this after our last episode. It's like you have a lot of experience with taking the principles that we like to talk about and like running with it and building like we've both ran with it and built our lives off of it just in different ways so far, right? But then I was also
Yeah,
thinking, well, where was Brian at with what he was building 20 years ago? Because that's where I'm at right now, you know. Like I'm 20 years behind you, right? And so at least in terms of age, right? And
sure.
and so but at the same time, it also just goes to show that this stuff is applicable, like like no matter what your age is,
Yeah,
whether
and
you're younger than both of us or older than both of us or somewhere in the middle.
yeah. And you know what? The mindset has been going on forever, for as long as people have walked the earth. I mean, La too, right? Before Christ, right? Had all
Right.
these, had all these, the Tao Te Ching, right? And we could go on and on. Uh, um, look at Plato, right? You brought him up last week. So there's so many areas, but the thing that is most common that I've noticed in anyone, in define success, right? Well, to me, like for me, success is being comfortable and being balanced in your life, your relationships, your finances, your business if you have a business, if you're working for someone, but just having a nice balanced life where you're pretty comfortable and you can do whatever you want to do. That's success to me. Now I have, a lot of friends who are very successful, but they all have a mindset of, yeah, we can do anything. And that's the difference. And when you talk to people who can't see that, if you can just change their mind, they'll be off and running.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's like the thing is everybody has that potential, right? Like no doubt about that in my mind. Uh, and at the same time, sometimes it takes, and at least for me personally speaking, it took it took me having to see people making that change in their life, like me witnessing that to see that that was possible when I was stuck in the mindset of like only certain things are possible for me, and
Mm,
then seeing like other people living like an abundant lifestyle where they have success and they're like really fulfilling. It seems like they found their purpose in life and then they're going after it and doing it. Like to me, then I thought that they have something that I don't have or that I can't have, and that's why they can do that, and that's also why I can't. And it wasn't until I saw people that um, that I thought were in the same boat as me get out of the boat and go do something else that I was
Mm.
like, oh, wait,
Yeah.
wait, what? Like you could just
What
get out
just
of
happened? Yeah.
the boat. and and so sometimes that's what it takes uh really be able to be like that agent of change for other people. There's something like really powerful that I learned in like the 12 step community, and like and basically like the last step of of there's a whole bunch of different 12 step programs. For steps are the same, but they're revolved around different problems, right? um, and so the last one is uh, we tried to carry the message to the like alcoholic or addict or overeater or whatever program. We tried to carry the message to the what fill in the blank that still suffers. um and it's actually like having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps. We tried to carry the message to whoever that's still suffering. And um and so the reason I thought of that is because sometimes what that looks like carrying the message, is literally being the person who got out of the boat. Sometimes that's all it looks like. Letting somebody who's still in the boat see that you can get out of it. Sometimes me carrying the message looks like me taking new guys to meetings. But a lot of times what it looks like is me living my life by these principles of like helping other people, day in and day out, and being a living example. And so I try to remember that because I think that that's like really powerful when it comes to like us right now showing up on here and talking about the mind and
Mm.
consciousness.
Yeah.
I guarantee some people will watch this that already know this stuff. They're already kind of picking up what we're putting down, but
Mm.
they may not have too many people that they feel like they can talk to in their life, like about this stuff. And would probably like, I know me personally, years ago when I knew this stuff, if you would say, hey, let's go live on the internet and talk about this stuff so whoever could watch it, I'd be like, what? Like, no, like, dude, I tried to tell my friends, they all thought I was insane. I'm not talking about how we're all connected and that
Yeah.
I'm not doing that to anybody on the internet who wants to see it. Like, are you crazy? But like
Yeah.
us, like, so there may be some other people out there that feel like that right now, and they see us talking about it and they're like, oh, like it actually is okay to talk about this stuff. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly. Well, I think most, there's a lot of people who just don't even want to be seen on the internet. I get it. I get all that.
yeah,
But when you come from a place of how can I help others, it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different feeling,
yeah.
you
It's
know.
a common phrase that
And
we say in the 12 step community is that it's not about you.
yeah,
Like I say that to myself all the time. It's not about you. It's not about you, Ron.
yeah. It's funny cuz I've never, really been addicted to any drugs or alcohol. However, my whole life, my whole entire life, I've been surrounded with people who have been addicted to drugs and alcohol. And the ones it's interesting because the ones who have made it out of there almost have like such a strong belief in an upper power, a god, a creator. That's what I've noticed, you know. Uh, um like all of a sudden it's like God got into their heart, and whether you call it God or the creator, spirit. I don't care. It's not important. But that's one common thing that I noticed. And that's why I was asking you, Ron, what happened? How did you do it? And you're kind of like, I don't know. All of a sudden, I just had this. I
Yeah.
don't know.
the actual the actual answer to that is, and I usually don't say this to people who aren't in the program because they don't really get it, but you would, and the actual answer is, when you say how did you do it, is like,
Mm,
I didn't. I didn't.
yeah.
What happened was, I tried to do it for many years and realized that me, this finite version of myself, can't. And then I let something greater than me do it for me. That's all I did, is I let that happen. I stopped trying to control it. I just let it
Yeah.
happen. And
Yep.
and in that process, there's a bunch of things that didn't make sense to me at the time. Like, oh, I'm gonna stop the business thing, like just shut it down, go get a job I don't like. Like, what? Now it's like I can look back at that and be like, oh, like this was perfectly set up for you to just practice being of service to other people all day, every day, so
Yep.
that you can really finally get it. Like, this is what it's about, dude. And then, like, after you get that, now you could actually go do this and be of service to other people. And so I see that now. There's no way that
Yep.
me, just little old me, would have concocted that. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely something that triggered it, and then when you look at it, the ripple effect that you've caused, and you don't always see it, and it's okay if you don't see it.
Right.
Um, but that. So I coached a couple people, and they became very successful, and then they're coaching people, and so on and so forth. And that's how that's how life is. That's how it works. Um, that's what I love about, once you get your mindset right, you can get anyone's mindset right. I mean, I say anyone who's willing to give it a shot.
Yeah. That's the key. Like, I got guys that I work with to help get sober, um and not all of them do.
Mm,
And this is another time that I remind myself, when that does happen, that it's not about me, because I was that guy for a while, the guy that other guys are trying to help get sober. And I was like, yeah, thanks for the advice. I'll listen to this stuff. I'll listen to this, that I'm not doing. I'm going to figure it out on my own, take little bits and pieces of what you're telling me. And and I'm going to take it all home with me and figure it out myself, you know? And so, but I can see now that that experience was like super vital, like, for me, because
yep.
now when I share my story at different meetings, or when I'm talking to new guys, I get to tell them about that. And some of them are like, dude, I did that for like the last 5 years. And it's like, cool. Like,
Yeah.
are you ready to do something different? And they say,
Yep.
yeah. Then it's like, cool, let's do it. And those guys are the ones that see it through, and also, like, I'm grateful for all the guys that tried to help me when I wasn't ready. Because of them, because of them, I
Mm,
knew where to go when I was ready to fully give up. And by fully give up, I mean fully
yeah.
release control to something greater than myself. I knew I had an inkling of a direction, and it's because of what they did. And the thing about it is, they don't even get to see any of that, because they live in LA. We're not really even in contact anymore. But they planted a seed that ended up growing when they didn't even get to see the fruit of their labor. And that's just what it's all about, you know? And yeah.
Yeah. Totally amazing transformations in people. And I'm not judging. Hey, whatever. People can get there when they want, but if they want to have a healthier life, from me looking in, whenever I witnessed alcohol abuse, drug abuse. I also witnessed someone that was having challenges with their relationships. I mean, not 10%, not 20%, not 90%, 100%. When alcohol, abuse of alcohol or drugs was involved, their relationships were failing. Now, there's a lot of people who can run businesses who are complete alcoholics, that can they've learned what to do and how to do it, and they have people maybe in place, whatever the case. But when it comes to relationships, right? What you're working so hard for is to have your family, to have your relationships. You know, if you're real shallow, it's a car. You're not having a good relationship with your Ferrari because you just crashed it. But that's what I've noticed in my life with drugs and alcohol, and I think everyone who's ever been there would probably say the same thing. Including yourself. I'm
Yeah,
sure your relationships were tanking at the time.
yeah, either that or non-existent, and it's like, to me, it makes total sense because, and this is just my opinion, of course, but like alcoholism, addiction, all that stuff, it's it's the root of it, in my experience, is like self-centered fear. It's like I'm taking all my action from a place of fear and self-centeredness, and that's what makes me feel so uncomfortable that I have to go change how I feel in the first place, with some substance or something. And if I'm
Mm,
living my life, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? And if I'm taking all the action in my life from a place of self-centered fear, well, that's not going to be good for any relationship,
right.
right? But at the
Yeah.
same time, if I'm striving to take all the action in my life uh, from a place of selflessness and from a place of giving, well, that's like the thing that creates fantastic relationships, right? And so it's like that's why you
Mm,
see so many people that like get sober and or get clean or whatever, like start focusing on others and how they can help, how they can contribute, and then they start to feel fulfilled because of it. And then they all these amazing and possible things happen. They get their family back, or they realize that the person that they've been with, that they've been trying to get back, really isn't that healthy for them, and they're okay with it. And then somebody better comes along, or they have their kids back in their life, or they're able to, you know like all these different things get mended, um, and and yeah, it's just really cool to see that, and also to like
and
personally see
and
it.
it's yeah, I'm sure. And it's the thing about this channel is we talk about anything and everything. When anything comes up, we just go with it. We don't even care. But here's the thing, right? So, um, tonight we touched on addictions, right? I mean, that was our main focus, addiction. So I'm on the East Coast. You're on the West Coast. I just want to say, like, if anyone is listening to this and they're struggling, reach out to us because we know people. I know people on the East Coast. Ron knows people on the West Coast. At least there is hope if you are looking for that. And I just want to point that out. We didn't know where today was going to go, but I do want to say there is hope for you. It's not, you know,
Right.
hey, look at
Yeah.
Ron's living proof. You know.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, if anybody has stumbled across this um, out there on the interwebs, like Brian said, um, you just comment. I will personally respond to you and make sure that we get you connected with somebody in your area.
Right on, Ron.
Um, and so that's what I start every day. Anyway, so don't be shy.
Hmm.
My internet,
Yeah, your
my internet's,
internet's
my
going real
internet's
bad, Ron.
suffering.
I got you
Oh,
back a little bit.
Yeah. So 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, every Thursday,
Yep.
internet permitting. That's when we're on here live. So
This is
the I
the
plan
first
on
time in a long time that this happened.
yeah, it's what it is. You know, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to grow through. So, all right. See ya.
All right, sign off, Ron.